Vanessa Cole spat in Rachel Morgan's face, right there in the courthouse hallway, in front of the cameras, in front of everyone. "That's for trying to steal my man," Vanessa hissed, then threw herself backward screaming, "Help! She's attacking my baby!" Rachel didn't even have time to wipe the spit from her cheek before the bailiffs slammed her against the wall. The last thing she saw before blacking out was Vanessa's smile. But 18 floors up in a ceiling vent, no one remembered existed a small black device kept recording. Drop your city in the comments. Let's see how far this story travels. Dig. The text message appeared on the dashboard screen at 11:47 p.m. Rachel Morgan was driving home from the Chicago Design Excellence Awards, her Industry Pioneer trophy still warm in the back seat. Rain hammered the windshield. Her husband Derek sat beside her scrolling through his phone. She had just given the best acceptance speech of her career. 22 years of building Morgan Design Group from nothing. Standing ovation. Tears in the audience. Derek had introduced her, called her the most brilliant woman I've ever known. She believed every word. The car's Bluetooth chimed. Derek's phone was connected to the system. A text notification flashed across the navigation screen. Vanessa Marketing. Did you file the papers yet? Can't wait to be. Mrs. Morgan. Rachel's foot slipped off the gas. What the hell is that? Derek lunged for the screen, jabbing the dismiss button. Nothing. Work joke. Vanessa has a weird sense of humor. Vanessa. Rachel's knuckles went white on the steering wheel. The 26-year-old marketing coordinator. Rachel. She wants to be Mrs. Morgan. Rachel yanked the car onto the shoulder. Hazard lights clicked. Rain streaked the windows like tears. What papers, Derek? He sighed. Not the sigh of a man caught in a mistake. The sigh of a man annoyed his schedule had been disrupted. Fine. He checked his cuticle, actually examined his fingernail, like it was more interesting than his wife's breaking heart. I wasn't planning to do this in the car, but since you're snooping, yes. I'm seeing Vanessa. We're in love. You're what? Real love, Rachel. Not this business arrangement we've been calling a marriage. Rachel couldn't breathe. The air had turned to concrete in her lungs. I want a divorce, Derek continued. And before you start with the tears, you should know I've already talked to lawyers. The house, the company, it's going to get very complicated for you if you don't cooperate. Cooperate. Rachel laughed. It sounded like breaking glass. I started that company in my mother's basement. I built it from nothing. You work for me, Derek. You're the CFO. I'm the founder. Derek smiled. The same smile she'd fallen in love with 15 years ago. Now it made her skin crawl. Check the bylaws we updated last year, sweetheart. The ones you signed because you trusted your loving husband. His voice dripped poison. I have majority voting rights on the board now. Restructured everything while you were too busy winning awards to read the fine print. That's impossible. It's done. Derek opened his door. Rain immediately soaked his Tom Ford jacket. Oh, and Rachel, I know about the Xanax, the anxiety pills you've been hiding since your mother died. Those are prescribed by my doctor. They're leverage. He stepped out into the storm. I'm staying at the Four Seasons tonight. Vanessa's waiting. Have a good drive home, sweetheart. He slammed the door and walked away. Rachel sat frozen, watching her husband of 15 years disappear into the rain without looking back. She drove home on autopilot. The house was dark. The beautiful custom home she had designed herself, every room a piece of her soul. She walked through the foyer, past the kitchen, where they'd planned their future, into the living room, where he used to kiss her forehead every morning. Lies. All of it. 15 years of lies. Her phone rang. Mrs. Morgan, First National Bank. We're calling to inform you that your husband has reported your joint credit card stolen. It's been canceled. What? Additionally, Mr. Morgan has requested a freeze on all joint accounts pending a fraud investigation. You may want to... Rachel hung up. She tried logging into her company email. Password rejected. The banking portal. Access denied. Derek's phone, straight to voicemail. At 2 a.m. Rachel sat on her kitchen floor, still wearing her award gala dress, mascara streaking her face, clutching a trophy that meant nothing anymore. She thought about the night she'd met Derek, 10 years ago, a networking event downtown. He'd been a struggling accountant with a cheap suit and a charming smile. She'd been a rising architect, already making waves. He'd spilled red wine on her dress and spent the whole night apologizing, making her laugh, making her feel seen. 6 months later, they were married. "Let me handle the finances," he'd said. "You focus on the art. That's what you're brilliant at." She'd handed him the keys to her kingdom. Stupid. So incredibly stupid. The next 2 weeks were a blur of closed doors and ignored calls. Rachel tried reaching her board members. 3 of them had been her friends for over a decade. Marcus Webb. Her first investor didn't answer. She left 4 voicemails. Patricia Huang, who she'd mentored through her first major project, sent her to voicemail after 2 rings. James Chen, who she'd hired when no one else would give him a chance, texted back. Derek explained the situation. "I think it's best if we don't communicate until this is resolved." Derek had gotten to them first. Poisoned every well before she even knew she was thirsty. She went to the bank in person, stood in line for an hour. Explained to a 23-year-old teller that there had been a mistake, that she was Rachel Morgan, that she'd founded a $40 million company. The teller looked at her computer screen, then back at Rachel with something like pity. "I'm sorry, ma'am. There's a legal hold on all accounts associated with your name. You'll need to resolve this with your attorney." "I am the attorney's client. I own." "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to step aside. There are other customers waiting." Rachel found herself standing on the sidewalk outside the bank, shaking. Her sister Sarah picked up on the first ring. "Rach, what's wrong?" "I need a place to stay." Rachel's voice cracked. "Just for a few days, maybe a week. Derek, I know. He called me." Rachel's blood went cold. "He called you?" "Yesterday. He said you've been struggling. The anxiety, the paranoia. He said you accused him of cheating with an employee and attacked him in the car." Sarah's voice was careful, distant. "He said you might try to turn family against him." "Sarah, that's not—" "He showed me the bruises on his arm, Rachel. He grabbed me." Silence on the other end. "Maybe you should talk to someone," Sarah finally said. "A professional. Derek gave me the name of a really good therapist who specializes in—" Rachel hung up. She checked into the Paradise Inn that night. $47 a night. Cigarette burns on the bedspread. A flickering neon sign outside her window. She paid cash. It was all she had left. 3 weeks after the text message, Rachel sat in the office of Monica Chen, one of Chicago's most ruthless divorce attorneys. Monica's face was grim. "This is worse than I thought, Rachel." "Just tell me." "Derek isn't just filing for divorce. He's filed for an emergency restraining order. He claims domestic violence." Rachel shot to her feet. "I never touched him. He's 6'2". I weigh 120 pounds. He has photographs of bruises on his forearm. From when he grabbed me. It's your word against his." Monica held up her hand. "But there's more. Vanessa Cole has filed a police report." Rachel's stomach dropped through the floor. "She claims you came to the office 4 days ago." Monica read from a document. Quote, "Mrs. Morgan screamed that she would end my pregnancy and make me regret ever looking at her husband. I haven't been to that office in 3 weeks. I've been locked out. She also claims she's 8 weeks pregnant with Derek's child." The room tilted. Rachel grabbed the desk. "Pregnant. It makes her a sympathetic victim. Derek has petitioned to freeze all your assets, company and personal, to protect his unborn child's future." Monica removed her glasses. "They've locked you out of everything, Rachel. Your company, your accounts, your reputation." I was at the motel when she says I threatened her. The Paradise Inn. They have cameras. Do they work? Rachel thought about the broken security cameras pointing at nothing, the front desk clerk who was always drunk. I don't know, she whispered. We have a preliminary hearing on Friday. They're pushing for summary judgment. They want 70% of the company, the house, and they want you to surrender your professional licenses, pending a psychiatric evaluation. 70% of the company I built. They're painting you as unstable, dangerous. Monica leaned forward. They want to take everything and make sure you can never rebuild. Rachel stared at the wall. 22 years. Her mother's basement, the folding table, the 100-hour weeks, the begged loans and missed holidays and sacrificed relationships. All of it gone. What do I do? We fight, but I need evidence that they're lying. Something concrete. Otherwise, Friday is going to be very, very bad. Friday morning. Rachel walked into the King County Courthouse wearing a simple black suit. She'd lost 14 pounds. Her cheekbones could cut glass. Dark circles haunted her eyes. The hallway was packed. Reporters with cameras, someone had tipped them off. Probably Derek's PR team. Then the elevator opened. Derek stepped out first. Navy suit, perfect hair, movie star smile. Behind him came Vanessa Cole. Rachel's breath caught. Vanessa wore white. Pure, innocent white like a bride. Her hand rested on a small but visible baby bump. She looked angelic, fragile, victimized. As they approached, Derek whispered something in Vanessa's ear. Vanessa looked directly at Rachel and smiled. Slow, predatory. The smile of someone who had already won and was savoring the kill. They walked closer. Vanessa's shoulder nearly brushed Rachel's. She leaned in, her whisper meant only for Rachel. Love the dress. Does Goodwill have a clearance rack? Rachel's hands trembled. Enjoy your last day as a free woman, Vanessa continued. Derek promised me we'd redecorate your house this weekend. I'm thinking of turning your office into a nursery. Rachel's vision went red. Then Vanessa spat in her face. It happened so fast. A quick, contemptuous spray of saliva that hit Rachel's cheek and dripped down toward her jaw. That's for trying to steal my happiness, Vanessa hissed. And then she threw herself backward. Help! She's attacking my baby, someone help me! Vanessa crashed into a bench, clutching her stomach, screaming with Academy Award precision. Derek rushed to her side. Oh my God! Someone call security! Rachel, what have you done? She spit on me. I didn't touch her. Bailiffs materialized from everywhere. Hands grabbed Rachel's shoulders, slammed her against the marble wall. Her cheek pressed against cold stone. She's trying to kill my baby, Vanessa sobbed. She said she'd end my pregnancy. I never said that. But no one was listening. The cameras were flashing. The reporters were shouting. Derek was pointing at Rachel with righteous fury. I told you she was dangerous. I told everyone. Over the wall of security. Rachel caught one final glimpse of Vanessa. Vanessa was buried in Derek's chest body, shaking with theatrical sobs. But her eyes met Rachel's over his shoulder, dry, clear, triumphant. Vanessa winked. That wink shattered something inside Rachel. The 3 weeks of starvation, the sleepless nights, the betrayal, the isolation, the humiliation of being spit on in public, the cruelty of that wink. Her knees buckled. The fluorescent lights blurred. The shouting became muffled, distant underwater. The marble floor rushed up to meet her face. Darkness. Beep, beep, beep. The heart monitor dragged Rachel back to consciousness. Harsh fluorescent lights. Hospital room. The smell of antiseptic. She's waking up. Monica Chen sat beside the bed looking exhausted. A doctor checked a clipboard nearby. Mrs. Morgan, you experienced a severe syncope episode, the doctor said. Fainting brought on by extreme stress, dehydration, and malnutrition. When did you last eat a full meal? Rachel couldn't remember. You've been unconscious for 4 hours. I'm recommending a 72-hour psychiatric hold for observation. No. Rachel tried to sit up. The hearing postponed. Monica interrupted. Judge Williams granted a 48-hour recess because you collapsed. But Rachel. Her voice was tight. It's bad. How bad? Derek's lawyer used the hallway incident to file for emergency mental incompetency. They're claiming you're not fit to manage your own life, let alone a company. They want you committed. Because I fainted. Because you attacked a pregnant woman in front of 20 witnesses, 8 cameras, and a dozen reporters. Monica rubbed her temples. The video's everywhere. Every local station. It's trending on social media. The headline on Channel 7 is, Jealous CEO Assaults Pregnant Mistress in Courthouse Attack. Rachel touched her cheek. She could still feel the spit. She spit on me, Rachel whispered. She provoked me. I didn't even touch her. I believe you, but the cameras didn't catch the spit. The audio didn't pick up her whisper. All anyone saw was Vanessa screaming and you standing there looking guilty. So that's it. Rachel's voice cracked. They win, I lose everything. Monica was quiet for a moment. Then she leaned forward. You're the architect, Rachel. You built that company. You designed that building. You know things about that place, about Derek, that no one else knows. Her eyes were sharp. Think. Is there anything at all? Rachel closed her eyes. She let her mind walk through the building she'd designed. The glass walls, the open floor plan, the executive suites on the 18th floor, Derek's corner office overlooking Michigan Avenue, Derek's office. 2 months ago, he'd complained about a buzzing sound in his ventilation. Said it distracted him during investor calls. Rachel, always the perfectionist, had used it as an excuse to test a new technology for a hospital project. The SoundScope Pro, high-fidelity acoustic diagnostic device, designed to identify structural vibrations and mechanical issues. But it worked by recording audio constantly buffering 45 days of data on an internal solid-state drive. She'd installed it herself, climbed on Derek's desk, removed a ceiling tile, mounted the small black box directly above his workspace. She'd disguised it as a smoke detector vent. Derek never looked up. Derek didn't understand buildings. He understood spreadsheets and manipulation, not architecture. But Rachel understood everything. The buzzing, she whispered. What buzzing? Rachel opened her eyes. 2 months ago, I installed an acoustic monitoring device in Derek's ceiling, a prototype called SoundScope Pro. It records audio, high definition. 45 days of continuous recording. Monica went still. Is it still there? Derek never looks up. He doesn't know what a vent looks like versus a recording device. He thinks it's part of the HVAC system. Rachel? Monica's voice was careful. You have a restraining order. You can't go within 500 feet of that building. Derek changed all the security codes. He hired private guards. Rachel ripped the IV tape off her hand. I designed that building, Monica. Every hallway, every stairwell, every maintenance shaft. She swung her legs off the bed. There are ways in that aren't on any blueprint. And I know who runs the night shift IT department. Monica stared at her, then smiled. It was the smile of a shark who'd just tasted blood in the water. Tell me what you need. Rachel stood up. Her legs were weak, but her voice was steel. I need black clothes. I need a car with no GPS. And I need you to keep your phone on at 2 a.m. She looked at Monica. Because by tomorrow morning, I'm either going to have proof that destroys them both, or I'm going to be in jail. Monica nodded slowly. Then let's go hunting. Bell. Chapter. The rain started at 10 p.m. Rachel sat in the passenger seat of Monica's black Lexus parked 2 blocks from the Morgan Design Group building. The tower rose 18 stories into the Chicago night, a dark monolith against the skyline. Her building, her creation, now occupied by the people who had stolen her life. This is insane, Monica said, checking her watch. If you get caught, I'm disbarred and you're in prison. Violating a restraining order, burglary, breaking and entering. It's not burglary if I'm taking my own property from my own building. Tell that to the judge who just watched you attack a pregnant woman on camera. Rachel pulled her hood up. Black jeans, black hoodie, black running shoes. She looked like a criminal. She felt like a ghost. Tyler's waiting, Rachel said. I have to go. Monica grabbed her arm. Rachel, are you sure about this? If that device isn't there, if Derek found it, if the recording doesn't have what we need, then I go to prison for trying. Rachel met her eyes. But if I don't try, I lose everything anyway. My company, my freedom, my sanity. She opened the car door. At least this way, I go down fighting. She stepped into the rain. The Morgan Design Group building had 3 public entrances. Derek would have stationed security at all of them. But Rachel hadn't designed 3 entrances. She'd designed 7. She circled to the back alley where the waste management trucks made their weekly pickups. The service door was hidden behind a dumpster painted the same gray as the wall. Invisible unless you knew it was there. Rachel knew. She pulled out her phone and dialed. Hello. Tyler's voice was barely a whisper. I'm at the back. Jesus, Rachel. The new security team is insane. Derek hired ex-military guys. They do sweeps every 45 minutes. Can you get me in? Silence. Then, give me 30 seconds. Rachel pressed herself against the wet brick wall, rain streaming down her face. 22 years of her life were inside that building. 22 years of blueprints and client meetings and late nights and impossible deadlines. She'd designed the lobby fountain herself. She'd picked every light fixture. She'd argued with contractors for months about the exact shade of white for the executive floor walls. And Derek had taken all of it while she was too busy trusting him to notice. The service door clicked. Tyler's face appeared in the gap, pale and terrified. He was 28 with bright blue hair and 3 earrings. Rachel had hired him straight out of community college when no one else would give him a chance. He'd been her IT director for 6 years. Get in, he hissed. Quick. Rachel slipped through the door into a dim maintenance corridor. The air smelled like cleaning supplies and recycled air. The cameras in this hallway are on a loop, Tyler said, leading her deeper into the building. I hacked them 20 minutes ago. But the elevators are biometric now. Derek's fingerprint only. We're not taking the elevator. Tyler stopped. Rachel, we're on the ground floor. Derek's office is on 18. I know. Rachel pushed open a door marked Emergency Stairwell. Authorized personnel only. Start climbing. 18 floors. Unless you want to ask Derek nicely for his fingerprint. Tyler groaned but followed her into the stairwell. Their footsteps echoed off concrete walls as they began the long ascent. Tell me what's been happening, Rachel said, keeping her voice low. Inside the company. It's a bloodbath. Tyler was already breathing hard by the 3rd floor. Vanessa fired the entire marketing team last week, said they were loyal to the old regime. She's got Derek wrapped around her finger. Whatever she wants, she gets. What does she want? Everything. Tyler paused on the landing to catch his breath. I found an email chain yesterday. They're planning to sell the company to Hartwell Industries as soon as your divorce is finalized. Rachel stopped climbing. Hartwell. Yeah, you know them. She knew them. Hartwell Industries was a corporate vulture. They bought struggling companies, stripped them for parts, fired everyone, and sold off the pieces. They'd destroyed a dozen architectural firms in the last 5 years. Derek doesn't care about the company, Rachel said slowly. He never did. He just wants the payout. The email mentioned a number. Tyler hesitated. 62 million. Derek gets 40%. Vanessa gets 15%. The board splits the rest. $62 million. That's what her life's work was worth to them. A number on a spreadsheet. A golden parachute while everyone who'd helped build the company got thrown out on the street. What about the employees? Rachel asked. The designers. The project managers. Hartwell doesn't keep staff. Everyone gets 60 days notice after the sale closes. Tyler's voice was bitter. 230 people, Rachel. That's how many jobs disappear when this deal goes through. Rachel started climbing again faster now. Her legs burned, her lungs ached, but the anger was fuel. I found something else, Tyler said from behind her. The Cayman accounts. Rachel stopped so suddenly, Tyler almost crashed into her. What? I was doing a routine backup of the financial servers last month. Found a folder Derek thought he'd deleted. Wire transfers. $18 million moved to an offshore account in the Cayman Islands over the past 2 years. 18 million. Company funds, client payments, investment returns. All of it funneled through shell corporations into an account with his name on it. Tyler's face was grim in the dim stairwell light. He's been stealing from you for years, Rachel. Right under your nose. Rachel leaned against the wall. $18 million. That explained why the books had seemed tight lately. Why Derek kept insisting they couldn't afford new equipment or better benefits for employees. He'd been draining the company dry while smiling at her across the breakfast table. Why didn't you tell me before? I tried. Tyler's voice cracked. 3 weeks ago, I called your office line. Derek answered, said you were unavailable. I emailed you the files. They bounced back your email had already been locked. He looked at the floor. By the time I realized what was happening, you were already frozen out. I didn't know how to reach you. Rachel put her hand on his shoulder. You're reaching me now. That's what matters. They kept climbing. By the 12th floor, Rachel's thighs were screaming. She hadn't eaten properly in 3 weeks. The hospital IV had helped, but her body was running on fumes. How much further? Tyler gasped. 6 more floors. I'm going to die. Not yet. Rachel pushed through the burn. Tell me about the security rotation. 2 guards. They do a sweep of each floor every 45 minutes. Started the last one about 20 minutes ago. Tyler checked his phone. We've got maybe 15 minutes before they hit 18 again. That's enough. Rachel, that's barely enough time to get into the office, let alone find the device and get out. Then we'd better move faster. They reached the 18th floor at 11:23 p.m. Rachel cracked the stairwell door and peered into the hallway. Emergency lights cast long shadows across the executive suite. The corner office at the end, her office once now had Derek's name on the door in gold letters. Derek Morgan, Chief Executive Officer. Rachel's jaw tightened. He'd promoted himself. Of course he had. Coast is clear, Tyler whispered. But the office door's electronic. Keycard access only. I can't override it without triggering an alarm. Rachel was already moving down the hallway, staying low. I don't need you to override it. Then how? She stopped at Derek's door and knelt down, examining the hinges. Brushed nickel, Italian design. Beautiful and expensive, also completely useless for security. I chose the hardware for every door in this building, Rachel said, pulling a multi-tool from her pocket. The designer in me wanted aesthetics. The architect in me wanted function. She began working on the bottom hinge pin. I never imagined I'd need to break into my own husband's office. That's not going to work, Tyler said. Those hinges are... The pin slid free. Apparently decorative, Tyler finished weakly. Rachel moved to the top hinge. 3 years ago, the general contractor wanted to install security hinges. Ugly industrial things. Derek agreed with him, said it was worth the extra cost. The second pin came loose. I overruled them both, said the aesthetic of the executive suite was more important. Rachel grabbed the edge of the heavy glass door. I designed this building to be beautiful, Tyler, not to keep me out. Together, they wedged the door open just enough for Rachel to squeeze through. Derek's office smelled like his cologne and something else. Something floral and cheap. Vanessa's perfume. Rachel's stomach turned. How many times had Vanessa been in here? How many times had they laughed about Rachel while she worked late in the next room, oblivious Rachel? Tyler's voice was urgent from the hallway. I hear the elevator. They're coming. Rachel dragged Derek's ergonomic chair to the center of the room and climbed up. Her fingers fumbled with the ceiling tile's sleek acoustic foam, her own design. The tile came loose. She reached into the dark space above, feeling past wires and insulation. Rachel! Her fingers touched plastic, smooth rectangular, exactly where she'd left it. The Soundscope Pro. She grabbed it, yanking the power cord free. The small green LED that had been blinking for 2 months finally went dark. They're on this floor, Tyler hissed. I can hear them talking. Rachel shoved the device into her hoodie pocket and jumped down. She pushed the chair back toward the desk, not caring if it was in the exact right position. The server room, she whispered. Now. They scrambled through the gap in the door and sprinted down the hallway. The server room was 3 doors down, a climate-controlled space, full of humming machines and blinking lights. Rachel pulled Tyler inside and eased the door shut, just as voices echoed from the far end of the hall. You check this side. I'll do the conference rooms. Heavy footsteps, getting closer. Rachel pointed at the floor. The server room had a raised platform, a 2-foot gap underneath for cable management. She'd designed it herself. They dropped to their knees and squeezed into the dark space beneath the floor panels. Dust filled Rachel's nose. Cables pressed against her back. She could feel Tyler trembling beside her. A flashlight beam swept across the server room window. Clear in here, a voice called out. The beam moved away. Rachel didn't move, didn't breathe. The Soundscope Pro pressed against her chest like a second heartbeat. Footsteps passed the door, faded down the hallway. Break room, one voice said. Yeah, I need coffee. This shift is dead. Their voices disappeared around a corner. Rachel counted to 60. Then she counted to 60 again. Okay, she finally whispered. Fire escape. North side of the building. That triggers a silent alarm, Tyler said. Can you disable the notification? Maybe. Give me 30 seconds when we get there. They crawled out from under the floor and crept to the door. Rachel checked the hallway empty. They moved fast, staying low. Rachel leading them through a maze of corridors she knew better than the lines on her own palm. Past the conference room, where she'd landed her first major client. Past the break room, where she'd celebrated 100 project completions. Past the small office where she'd interviewed Derek 15 years ago, never imagining he'd one day try to destroy her. The fire escape door was at the end of a narrow maintenance hallway. Tyler pulled out his phone and began typing furiously. Come on, he muttered. Rachel kept watch, her heart pounding. Got it. Tyler pushed the door open. Go. You've got maybe 2 minutes before they realize the notification was suppressed. Cold rain hit Rachel's face. The fire escape was a narrow metal staircase that zigzagged down the outside of the building, slick with water. Tyler, Rachel grabbed his arm. Thank you. For everything. Don't thank me yet. His face was serious. Listen, whatever's on that device, I hope it's enough, because if it's not... He didn't finish the sentence. Rachel started down the stairs, rain soaking through her clothes. 1 floor, 2, 5, 10. By the time she reached the alley, she was shaking from cold, from adrenaline, from the weight of what she carried in her pocket. Monica's car was waiting exactly where they'd left it. Rachel threw herself into the passenger seat, gasping for breath. Go. Drive. Monica didn't ask questions. The car peeled away from the curb and disappeared into the Chicago night. 3 blocks away, Monica finally spoke. Did you get it? Rachel pulled the small black box from her pocket. The Soundscope Pro. 45 days of recorded audio. Every conversation Derek had in his office, every phone call, every whispered plan. I got it. Monica's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Then let's find out what your husband's been saying when he thought no one was listening. They drove to Monica's office, a sleek suite on the 42nd floor of a downtown high-rise. At 1 a.m., the building was empty. Their footsteps echoed in the marble lobby. Monica's corner office had a view of the entire city. Lake Michigan stretched out black and endless to the east. Somewhere out there, Derek was probably sleeping peacefully, dreaming of his $62 million payout. Rachel plugged the Soundscope Pro into Monica's laptop. A folder appeared on screen. Hundreds of audio files organized by date and time. 6 weeks of Derek's life captured in high definition. "Where do we start?" Monica asked. 3 days before the courthouse. Rachel scrolled through the timestamps. The morning before Vanessa filed her police report. She found the file. 8:47 a.m. 4 days ago. Her finger hovered over the play button. "Rachel." Monica's voice was soft. "Whatever's on here, it might be worse than you think. Are you ready?" Rachel thought about the spit on her face, the wink, the smirk, Vanessa's voice whispering about food stamps and nurseries. "Play it." Monica clicked. Static hissed through the speakers, then voices. "Derek." "She's not going away, Jess. Her lawyer's pushing for a forensic audit. If they dig into the accounts, Vanessa, they'll find the Cayman transfers. We're screwed." Derek. "Not if we move faster. We need to make her crack, publicly, something the judge can't ignore." Vanessa. "What about the pregnancy angle?" Derek laughed. "That's genius, by the way. Where'd you get the idea? Vanessa, reality TV, works every time. Crying pregnant woman beats angry ex-wife in every courtroom." Derek. "You're not even showing yet." Vanessa. "I ordered a silicone bump online. Premium quality. Arrives tomorrow." Rachel's hand flew to her mouth. Monica paused the recording. "Rachel. Keep playing." Monica hesitated, then clicked play. Vanessa. "Here's the plan. At the courthouse, I'll provoke her. Get in her face. Say something that makes her snap. If she touches me, even bumps me, I scream, assault." Derek. "You back me up. Tell them you've been warning everyone she's unstable." Derek. "And the pregnancy." Vanessa. "I clutch my stomach. I cry. I say the stress is hurting the baby. The judge will bury her so fast she won't know what hit her." Derek. "God, you're evil. I love it." Vanessa. "Watch me cry on command." A theatrical sob came through the speakers. Then Vanessa laughed. Vanessa. "See Oscar-worthy. By Friday, she'll either be in jail or in a psych ward. Either way, we win." The recording ended. Silence filled the office. Rachel stared at the laptop screen, tears streaming down her face. But they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of release. 3 weeks of doubt. 3 weeks of wondering if she was actually going crazy. 3 weeks of everyone looking at her like she was the villain. And here it was. Proof. She wasn't crazy. She wasn't unstable. She was the victim of a calculated, premeditated conspiracy. "There's more," Monica said quietly. "Scroll down." Rachel wiped her eyes and looked at the file list. Dozens of recordings, weeks of evidence. She clicked another file. Dated 6 weeks ago. Vanessa. "When can we tell people Derek?" "After the divorce is finalized, 6 months tops." Vanessa. "And the company, Derek Hartwell's offering $62 million. I've already talked to their people. Once Rachel's out of the picture, we sign the papers and cash the checks." Vanessa. "What about the employees?" Derek. "Who cares? They're not our problem." Another file. 5 weeks ago. Derek. "The board meeting went perfectly. She signed the bylaw changes without even reading them. Too trusting. Always has been." Vanessa. "That's what makes this so easy." Derek. "I almost feel bad. Almost. But then I remember how boring she is. 22 years of listening to her talk about buildings and blueprints. God, I deserve this money for putting up with her." Rachel clicked file after file, each one worse than the last. Derek mocking her anxiety medication. Vanessa joking about redecorating Rachel's sad little house. The two of them laughing about how easy it was to manipulate her, to freeze her out, to turn her friends and family against her. And then she found it. The recording from the morning of the courthouse incident. Vanessa. I've got the bump on. How does it look? Derek. Perfect. Very maternal. Vanessa. Remember, if she doesn't react, I'll escalate. I'll whisper something, maybe spit on her. Derek. Spit. Vanessa. Just a little. Enough to make her lose it. The cameras won't catch it. Then I throw myself back and scream about the baby. Derek. You really are a psychopath. Vanessa. That's why you love me. Monica stopped the recording. Rachel. Her voice was almost reverent. Do you understand what we have here? Rachel nodded slowly. Evidence of conspiracy to commit fraud, perjury, filing a false police report, defamation, embezzlement. Everything. Monica's shark smile was back. We have everything, every plan, every lie, every crime they committed, recorded in their own voices. Rachel looked at the small black box sitting on the desk. Just plastic and circuits and a microphone. But it had captured the truth when no one else would listen. What do we do now? Rachel asked. Monica pulled up the court calendar on her computer. The hearing reconvenes Monday morning, 48 hours from now. We could send this to Derek's lawyers. End it now. He'd have to settle. He would, Monica agreed. He'd probably give you everything just to keep this quiet. Rachel thought about it. A quiet settlement. Her company back. Her house back. Derek and Vanessa disappearing into whatever hole they'd crawled out of. It would be easy. Safe. Dignified. Then she remembered the spit on her face. The wink. The smirk. Vanessa whispering about food stamps while Rachel's entire world collapsed. No, Rachel said. Monica raised an eyebrow. No. They humiliated me in public. They made me collapse in front of cameras. They made me look like a monster. Rachel's voice was steel. I don't want a settlement, Monica. I want them to feel what I felt. I want them exposed. I want the whole world to see what they really are. Monica studied her for a long moment. That's risky. If we play this in open court, everything becomes public record. The media will have a field day. Your name, your company, your marriage, it all gets dragged through the mud. It's already in the mud. Derek made sure of that. Rachel met Monica's eyes. But this time, I'll be the one standing when the dust settles. Monica leaned back in her chair. You want to play it in court, in front of everyone. Let the judge hear it. Let the reporters hear it. Let Derek and Vanessa hear their own voices confessing to everything. Yes. That's not justice, Rachel. That's revenge. Rachel thought about the 22 years she'd poured into her company, the employees who would lose their jobs, the clients who trusted her, the life she'd built from nothing. Maybe it's both. Monica smiled. It was the smile of a predator who'd found the perfect hunting ground. Then we'd better prepare one hell of a show. Monday morning arrived with the weight of a verdict. Rachel stood in front of the bathroom mirror in Monica's guest room, studying her reflection. She had slept 4 hours in the past 2 days. Dark circles shadowed her eyes. Her cheekbones were too sharp, her skin too pale. But something was different. The woman staring back at her wasn't broken anymore. She looked dangerous. Ready! Monica appeared in the doorway, already dressed in a charcoal power suit. Rachel picked up her mother's pearl earrings from the counter. The only jewelry she had left that Derek hadn't frozen. She put them on slowly, deliberately. I've been ready for 3 weeks. They drove to the courthouse in silence. Rachel watched the Chicago skyline pass by the buildings she'd spent her career studying and admiring and trying to surpass. Her own building was out there somewhere, stolen, but not lost. Not yet. The courthouse parking lot was chaos. News vans lined the street. Reporters clustered near the entrance cameras ready. Derek's PR team had done their job too well. the story of the jealous CEO attacking a pregnant mistress, had gone viral. "Ignore them," Monica said as they pushed through the crowd. "Don't react to anything. Don't answer any questions." "Mrs. Morgan, do you have any comment on the assault allegations?" "Rachel, is it true you threatened to kill the baby? How do you respond to claims that you're mentally unstable?" Rachel kept her head down and walked. Monica's hand on her back guided her through the double doors into the courthouse lobby. "Deep breath," Monica murmured. "We've got this." They took the elevator to the 4th floor. Courtroom 4B was at the end of the hallway, the same courtroom where Rachel had collapsed 4 days ago. The hallway was packed. Rachel recognized faces from the Chicago business community competitors, former clients, people she'd considered friends. They whispered to each other as she passed, their eyes sliding away when she tried to meet them. Guilty until proven innocent. Derek had made sure of that. Then the elevator at the far end dinged. The doors opened. Derek stepped out first, looking refreshed and confident in a navy blue suit. His hair was perfectly styled. His smile was perfectly rehearsed. Behind him came Vanessa Cole, dressed in a soft cream-colored dress, one hand resting protectively on her silicone baby bump. And behind them, a small army. 3 lawyers, a publicist, and 2 people Rachel didn't recognize carrying briefcases. They were ready for war. Vanessa spotted Rachel across the hallway. Their eyes met. Vanessa smiled. It was the same smile from Friday. The same predatory curl of lips. The same message, "I win, you lose." But this time Rachel smiled back. She watched confusion flicker across Vanessa's face. A micro-expression there and gone. Vanessa had expected fear, desperation, defeat. She hadn't expected a smile. "What is she doing?" Vanessa whispered to Derek. Derek glanced at Rachel, frowned, then shrugged. "Putting on a brave face. Won't last long." They entered the courtroom. Rachel and Monica sat at the plaintiff's table on the left. Derek, Vanessa, and their legal team took the right. The gallery behind them filled quickly. Reporters, spectators, a few people Rachel recognized from her company. Tyler sat in the back row trying to look inconspicuous with his blue hair tucked under a baseball cap. He gave Rachel a small nod. "All rise." Judge Patricia Williams entered the courtroom. She was in her 60s, silver-haired, with a reputation for having zero tolerance for courtroom theatrics. She'd seen everything in her 30 years on the bench. She was about to see something new. "Be seated." Judge Williams settled into her chair and adjusted her glasses. "We're here to continue the matter of Morgan versus Morgan, specifically the emergency motions filed by Mr. Derek Morgan regarding asset control, the restraining order, and criminal referral for assault." She looked at Derek's table. "Mr. Hartley, you may proceed." Richard Hartley stood up. He was Derek's lead attorney, a silver-haired shark in a $3,000 suit. He was famous for destroying opponents with charm and precision. "Thank you, Your Honor." Hartley buttoned his jacket. "The facts of this case are simple. My client, Mr. Derek Morgan, is the victim of a vindictive, unstable ex-spouse who cannot accept that her marriage is over. Rather than cooperating with a fair division of assets, Mrs. Morgan has engaged in a pattern of harassment, threats, and physical violence." He gestured toward Vanessa. 4 days ago, in the hallway of this very courthouse, Mrs. Morgan physically attacked Miss Vanessa Cole, a pregnant woman. Miss Cole is carrying Mr. Morgan's child. The attack was witnessed by multiple security officers and captured on camera. It was unprovoked and vicious. Monica made a small sound. Rachel put a hand on her arm. "Wait. We ask the court to immediately transfer full control of Morgan Design Group to Mr. Morgan, to extend the restraining order indefinitely, and to refer Mrs. Morgan for criminal prosecution." Hartley sat down looking satisfied. Judge Williams turned to Monica. "Ms. Chen." Monica stood slowly. She didn't approach the podium. She stayed behind the table, her voice calm and measured. "Your Honor, before I respond to Mr. Hartley's characterization of events, I'd like to call Miss Vanessa Cole to the stand." Hartley shot up. "Objection. The defense hasn't finished presenting." "This is a preliminary hearing, not a trial, Mr. Hartley," Judge Williams interrupted. Ms. Chen may call witnesses for rebuttal. Miss Cole, please take the stand. Vanessa rose gracefully, one hand on her belly. She walked to the witness box like she was walking a runway, projecting innocence with every step. She took the oath with trembling hands, her voice soft and vulnerable. Monica approached her slowly. Miss Cole, you've claimed that on Friday morning my client attacked you without provocation. Is that correct? Yes. Vanessa dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. She came at me out of nowhere. I was terrified for my baby. And you're currently 8 weeks pregnant with Mr. Morgan's child. Yes. Vanessa's hand moved to her stomach. It's been such a difficult time. The stress has been terrible for the baby. I can imagine. Monica's voice was sympathetic. Have you seen a doctor? I have an appointment scheduled. But you haven't actually had a medical examination to confirm the pregnancy. Hartley stood. Objection, relevance. Goes to the nature of the alleged threat. Your Honor, Monica said. Overruled. Answer the question. Vanessa shifted in her seat. I've taken home tests, multiple ones. They were all positive. But no medical confirmation. Not yet. I see. Monica turned to walk back to her table. Then she paused as if remembering something. Miss Cole, can you describe what happened immediately before my client allegedly attacked you? I was just walking to the courtroom with Derek. She was standing in the hallway. Did you speak to her? No, I didn't say a word. You didn't walk close to her, whisper anything? Absolutely not. Vanessa's eyes widened with practiced innocence. I would never provoke her. I know she's disturbed. So you didn't whisper something about... Monica checked her notes. Food stamps. Vanessa's composure flickered. What? No, that's ridiculous. And you didn't spit on her. Objection. Hartley was on his feet. This is outrageous. Counsel is fabricating. Your Honor. I have evidence that directly contradicts Miss Cole's testimony. Monica walked to the clerk's desk and held up a USB drive. I'd like to submit this as Exhibit A. The courtroom buzzed with whispers. Derek leaned over to his lawyer, his face tight with confusion. Judge Williams raised an eyebrow. What is this evidence? An audio recording, Your Honor, captured by a SoundScope Pro acoustic monitoring device that was installed in Mr. Morgan's office 2 months ago before the divorce proceedings began. The device was installed by my client to diagnose an HVAC issue. It's a prototype for a hospital project. It records continuously and stores 45 days of audio data. The color drained from Derek's face. Rachel watched it happen, watched him cycle through confusion, then realization, then raw, naked terror. He knows, she thought. He knows what's on that device. Mr. Hartley, Judge Williams asked, any objection to the evidence? Hartley was already huddled with Derek, whispering urgently. Derek was shaking his head, his hands gripping the table. Your Honor, we need a moment to... You've had 3 weeks, Mr. Hartley. I'll allow the evidence. Ms. Chen, proceed. Monica handed the USB drive to the court technician. Please play the file dated 4 days ago, 8:47 a.m. The courtroom speakers crackled. Then Derek's voice filled the room. She's not going away, Jess. Her lawyer's pushing for a forensic audit. If they dig into the accounts... Vanessa's voice. They'll find the Cayman transfers. We're screwed. A gasp ran through the gallery. Reporters scribbled furiously. Derek. Not if we move faster. We need to make her crack, publicly. Something the judge can't ignore. Vanessa. What about the pregnancy angle? Derek laughed. That's genius, by the way. Where'd you get the idea? Vanessa, reality TV. Works every time. Crying pregnant woman beats angry ex-wife in every courtroom. On the witness stand, Vanessa had gone white. Her hand still rested on her belly, but now it looked frozen there, a prop she'd forgotten how to use. Derek, you're not even showing yet. Vanessa, I ordered a silicone bump online. Premium quality. Arrives tomorrow. The courtroom erupted. Order. Judge Williams slammed her gavel. Order in this court. Rachel watched Vanessa's face transform. The practiced innocence crumbled. The soft vulnerability dissolved. Underneath was something feral and desperate. That's fake," Vanessa shouted from the stand. "It's AI. Someone manipulated it." "Miss Cole, you will be silent or I will hold you in contempt," Judge Williams snapped. Monica's voice cut through the chaos. "There's more, Your Honor. Please continue the recording." The technician pressed play. Vanessa's voice. "Here's the plan. At the courthouse, I'll provoke her. Get in her face. Say something that makes her snap. If she touches me, even bumps me, I scream, 'Assault.'" Derek. "And the pregnancy." Vanessa. "I clutch my stomach. I cry. I say the stress is hurting the baby. The judge will bury her so fast she won't know what hit her." Derek. "God, you're evil. I love it." Vanessa. "Watch me cry on command." A theatrical sob came through the speakers, then laughter. Vanessa. "See Oscar-worthy. By Friday she'll either be in jail or in a psych ward. Either way, we win." The recording ended. Silence. Absolute, devastating silence. Rachel looked at Derek. He was staring at the table, his face the color of ash. His hands were trembling. She looked at Vanessa. Vanessa was gripping the witness stand railing so hard her knuckles had turned white. Her mouth was moving, but no sound came out. Judge Williams removed her glasses. She placed them on the bench, very, very slowly. "Mr. Morgan?" Her voice was ice. "Would you like to explain what we just heard?" Hartley jumped up. "Your Honor, my client had no knowledge that this recording existed. It's clearly been tampered with." The voice patterns. "The voice patterns," Monica interrupted, "have been analyzed by Dr. Sarah Kim, a forensic audio expert at Northwestern University. Her report confirms the recordings are authentic and unedited. I have her sworn affidavit here." She handed a document to the bailiff who passed it to the judge. Judge Williams read it. Her expression darkened with every line. "There's one more recording, Your Honor," Monica said. "From the morning of the courthouse incident. The morning Miss Cole claims my client attacked her without provocation. Play it." The speakers crackled again. "Vanessa. I've got the bump on. How does it look?" Derek. "Perfect. Very maternal." Vanessa. "Remember, if she doesn't react, I'll escalate. I'll whisper something. Maybe spit on her." Derek. "Spit." Vanessa. "Just a little. Enough to make her lose it. The cameras won't catch it. Then I throw myself back and scream about the baby." Derek. "You really are a psychopath." Vanessa. "That's why you love me." The recording stopped. Every eye in the courtroom turned to Vanessa. She stood up from the witness stand, nearly knocking over the chair. "This is a setup. She planted that device. She's been spying on us." "Miss Cole, sit down," Judge Williams commanded. "I won't sit down. This is entrapment. This is illegal." "The device was installed in my client's own building," Monica said calmly. "A building she designed and owns, for a legitimate diagnostic purpose. There was no expectation of privacy and no law was broken." Vanessa spun toward Derek. "Say something. Don't just sit there." Derek didn't look at her. He was staring at Rachel. For the first time in their 15-year marriage, Rachel saw genuine fear in his eyes. Not the fear of losing money or status, the fear of a man watching his entire world collapse. "Derek!" Vanessa screamed. "Miss Cole!" Judge Williams's voice was thunder. "If you do not sit down immediately, I will have you removed from this courtroom in handcuffs." Vanessa's chest heaved. For a moment she looked like she might run. Then something in her broke. Her shoulders slumped. She collapsed back into the witness chair. Tears, real tears this time, streaming down her face. Judge Williams turned to Derek's table. "Mr. Hartley, does your client wish to respond to these recordings?" Hartley leaned toward Derek. They whispered frantically. Derek pushed him away. "I want to make a statement." Derek, don't! Hartley grabbed his arm. Get off me! Derek stood up. His suit was rumpled now, his perfect hair disheveled. He looked like a man who'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. Your Honor. Those recordings. He trailed off, looking at Rachel. Those recordings, what Mr. Morgan? Judge Williams asked. Derek's mouth opened, closed, opened again. They're not. We were just... It was taken out of context. Out of context? Monica stepped forward. Mr. Morgan, in those recordings, you and Miss Cole explicitly planned to provoke my client into a reaction. You discuss faking a pregnancy. You laugh about destroying her reputation. You mention transferring $18 million to an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. She paused. Which context am I missing? Derek said nothing. Mr. Morgan? Judge Williams leaned forward. Did you transfer company funds to an offshore account? Hartley jumped up. Your Honor, my client invokes his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Interesting choice. The judge's voice could have frozen lava. Bailiff, please take Mr. Morgan into custody. He is to be held pending investigation for perjury fraud and conspiracy to obstruct justice. Same for Miss Cole. What? Vanessa shot to her feet again. You can't arrest me. I'm pregnant. Judge Williams looked at her with absolute contempt. Miss Cole, according to the recording we just heard, you purchased a silicone prosthetic to fake a pregnancy. If you'd like to submit to a medical examination right now to prove otherwise, I'll allow it. Otherwise, sit down and be quiet. Vanessa's mouth moved. No words came out. Two bailiffs approached Derek's table. One put a hand on Derek's shoulder. Wait, Derek said. His voice cracked. Wait. I'll tell you everything. I'll cooperate. Just don't. You should have thought about that before you committed perjury in my courtroom, Judge Williams said. And before you tried to frame an innocent woman for assault. The bailiff pulled Derek's arms behind his back. The click of handcuffs echoed through the silent courtroom. Rachel watched her husband, her ex-husband, being led away in handcuffs. He didn't look charming anymore. He didn't look confident or powerful or in control. He looked small. As he passed Rachel's table, Derek stopped. The bailiff tried to keep him moving, but Derek planted his feet. You did this, he said to Rachel. His voice was barely a whisper. You destroyed everything. Rachel stood up slowly. She met his eyes. No, Derek. Her voice was clear and steady, loud enough for everyone in the courtroom to hear. You destroyed everything. I just turned on the lights. The bailiff pulled him forward. Derek stumbled, nearly fell, then was dragged through the side door. Two more bailiffs approached Vanessa. She was still on the witness stand, frozen like a deer in headlights. No. She started backing away. No. This wasn't supposed to happen. Derek said we were protected. He said his lawyers would handle everything. Miss Cole, please come with us. Vanessa tried to run. She made it 3 steps before a bailiff caught her arm. She screamed, thrashing her cream dress, tearing at the sleeve. Get off me! Don't touch me, I'm pregnant! Miss Cole. Judge Williams's voice cut through Vanessa's hysterics. You are being detained for perjury and filing a false police report. If you continue to resist, I will add resisting arrest to the charges. Your choice. Vanessa stopped struggling. Her body went limp in the bailiff's grip. As they led her past Rachel's table, Vanessa turned. Her face was streaked with mascara, her carefully constructed mask completely shattered. You think you've won? Vanessa hissed. Derek has friends, powerful friends. This isn't over. Rachel didn't flinch. Yes, it is. They dragged Vanessa away. The courtroom was silent for a long moment. Then Judge Williams cleared her throat. Ms. Chen, Mrs. Morgan. She removed her glasses and rubbed her eyes. I've been on this bench for 30 years. I've seen a lot of ugliness. But what I heard today, the calculated cruelty, the deliberate destruction of another person's life, it's among the worst. She looked at Rachel. Mrs. Morgan, the restraining order against you is vacated immediately. All asset freezes are lifted. The emergency motion for control of Morgan Design Group is denied with prejudice." She paused. "Furthermore, based on the evidence of embezzlement and fraud we heard today, I'm recommending to the family court that you be granted sole ownership of all marital assets, including the company. The district attorney will be receiving a full copy of these recordings along with my recommendation for criminal prosecution." Rachel's legs felt weak. She gripped the table for support. "Thank you, Your Honor." "Don't thank me, Mrs. Morgan." Judge Williams's voice softened. "You did this yourself. Whatever you went through to obtain that evidence, whatever courage it took to walk back into this courtroom after what happened on Friday, you earned this." She banged her gavel. "Court is adjourned." The courtroom exploded into chaos. Reporters rushed for the doors, phones already pressed to their ears. Spectators whispered to each other, eyes wide with shock. Monica grabbed Rachel's arm. "We need to go, now, before the press swarms." But Rachel didn't move. She stood at the table, staring at the spot where Derek had been sitting. His papers were still there, his expensive pen, the briefcase that probably cost more than some people's monthly rent. "Rachel." Monica tugged at her arm. "Come on." Rachel let herself be led toward the side exit, the same door Derek and Vanessa had just been dragged through. Tyler was waiting in the hallway, his face split by a massive grin. "You did it," he said. "Holy shit, Rachel, you actually did it." "We did it." Rachel pulled him into a hug. "I couldn't have done any of this without you." "What happens now?" Rachel pulled back and looked at Monica. "Now?" Monica smiled her shark smile. "Now we take back everything they stole." Chapter 1. The news broke before Rachel even reached the parking lot. Her phone started buzzing in her pocket. Then Monica's phone. Then Tyler's. A cascade of notifications that sounded like a swarm of angry bees. "Channel 5 just posted the story," Tyler said, scrolling through his screen. "Holy shit, they already have the headline, 'Fake Pregnancy Scandal, CEO's Mistress Arrested in Courtroom.' Channel 7 too," Monica added. "And it's trending on Twitter, number 3 nationally." Rachel didn't look at her phone. She kept walking, her heels clicking against the courthouse parking garage concrete, her eyes fixed straight ahead. "Rachel." Monica jogged to catch up. "Did you hear me? You're vindicated. Everyone's going to know the truth." "I heard you." "Then why don't you look happy?" Rachel stopped at Monica's car. She pressed her palm against the cold metal roof and took a long breath. "Because it's not over," she said. "Derek's in custody, but he still has allies on the board. The Hartwell deal could still go through if they move fast enough. And $18 million is sitting in a Cayman Islands account that I can't touch. So what do you want to do?" Rachel looked up at the gray Chicago sky. Somewhere in this city, 230 people were about to lose their jobs because of her husband's greed. People who had trusted her, people who had helped build her company from nothing. "I want to go to my office," Rachel said. "I want to walk through the front door this time." The drive to Morgan Design Group took 20 minutes. Tyler sat in the back seat fielding calls from employees who had seen the news. "Yeah, it's true. No, she's not going to fire everyone. I don't know, just sit tight. We'll have an announcement soon." Monica glanced at Rachel. "You're going to need to address the staff, today if possible. The rumor mill is already spinning out of control." "I know." "And the board. They're going to try to distance themselves from Derek. Some of them probably knew about the Hartwell deal, maybe even the embezzlement." "I know that too." Monica pulled into the parking garage beneath the Morgan Design Group building. The same garage Rachel had designed 7 years ago with its clean lines and efficient layout. The same garage she'd walked through 1,000 times without ever imagining she'd one day be banned from entering. She stepped out of the car and straightened her jacket. "Ready?" Tyler asked. "Not even close." They walked to the elevator. Tyler swiped his keycard, still active, despite everything, and pressed the button for the lobby. The doors opened onto chaos. The Morgan Design Group lobby was usually calm and professional. Soft music, fresh flowers, the gentle murmur of business being conducted. But today, employees clustered in small groups, whispering to each other, checking their phones. The receptionist's desk was abandoned. Then someone spotted Rachel. "Oh my God, she's here!" Heads turned. Conversation stopped. 200 pairs of eyes fixed on Rachel as she walked across the marble floor she had personally selected. No one spoke. Rachel kept walking. Through the lobby. Past the fountain she had designed. Toward the elevator bank that would take her to the executive floor. "Mrs. Morgan." Rachel turned. A young woman, mid-20s, dark hair, nervous eyes, had stepped forward from one of the clusters. "I'm sorry," the woman said. I wanted to say, we saw the news. What they did to you. It's awful. And I'm sorry I didn't. I mean, when Derek told us you were..." She trailed off, tears welling in her eyes. "I'm just sorry." Rachel recognized her now. Jessica Park. She'd hired her 2 years ago, fresh out of design school. Jessica had cried in Rachel's office when she got the job offer, saying it was her dream to work at Morgan Design Group. "What did Derek tell you?" Rachel asked softly. "That you were having a breakdown, that the stress had gotten to you, that we should be patient and supportive while you got help." Jessica wiped her eyes. "I believed him. We all believed him." Rachel looked around the lobby, at the faces of her employees. Some looked ashamed. Some looked scared. Some looked relieved. None of them had believed in her. She should have been angry. Part of her was angry. But a larger part of her understood. Derek had been charming and confident and convincing. He'd had 15 years to practice lying to Rachel. Lying to everyone else was easy. "It's not your fault," Rachel said. "Derek fooled me for 15 years. You had no chance." She turned and continued toward the elevator. Monica and Tyler flanked her as they rose to the 18th floor. The doors opened onto the executive suite, the same hallway Rachel had crept through in the dark just 3 days ago. Now the lights were on. Derek's name was still on the door at the end of the hall. Rachel walked straight to it and pushed it open. The office was empty. Derek's expensive desk, his leather chair, his collection of abstract art. Everything in place, as if he'd just stepped out for coffee instead of being dragged away in handcuffs. Rachel walked to the window. Chicago spread out below her 18 stories of glass and steel and ambition. She'd looked at this view 1,000 times, but it had never been truly hers, until now. "Rachel." Monica's voice was gentle. "The board is assembling in the conference room. They want to see you." "How many of them?" 5 of the 7. Marcus Webb and Patricia Huang are claiming they're too sick to attend." Rachel almost laughed. Of course they were. The 2 board members who had been closest to Derek. The ones who had ignored Tyler's warnings about the embezzlement. The ones who had probably known about the Hartwell deal from the beginning. "Let them hide," Rachel said. "I'll deal with them later." She walked out of Derek's office, her office now, and down the hall to the main conference room. Through the glass walls, she could see them sitting around the long table. 5 faces she had known for years. People she had trusted, confided in, considered allies. They all looked terrified. Good. Rachel pushed open the door. "Good afternoon." Nobody moved. James Chen, who had been her first hire, stared at the table. Robert Martinez, who had introduced her to Derek 15 years ago, couldn't meet her eyes. Linda Park, Sarah Williams, Thomas Grant, all of them sat frozen like children caught stealing cookies. Rachel took a seat at the head of the table. The seat Derek had claimed for himself 3 weeks ago. "Let me make something clear," Rachel said. "I know about the Hartwell deal." The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. "I know that Derek promised to sell this company for $62 million. I know he was planning to pocket 40%. I know some of you were expecting a share of the remaining profits in exchange for your cooperation." Robert Martinez was the first to crack. "Rachel, I had no idea about the offshore accounts. I swear to you, the Hartwell deal, Derek presented it as a growth opportunity, a strategic partnership. He never mentioned selling the company." Is that why you stopped returning my calls, Robert? Because of a strategic partnership. Robert's mouth opened, closed, opened again. He shook his head. Derek told us you were having a mental breakdown. He showed us text messages, emails, evidence that you'd become paranoid and delusional. He said the kindest thing we could do was keep our distance until you got help. Text messages I never sent, Rachel said quietly. Emails I never wrote. Did any of you actually verify them? Did any of you call me to ask if they were real? Silence. I called. A voice from the end of the table. Sarah Williams, the board's youngest member, a woman Rachel had mentored for 8 years. 3 days after you were locked out, I called the number you'd given me years ago, Derek answered. He said you'd changed your number, that you didn't want to talk to anyone from the company. Rachel looked at her. And you believed him? I wanted to believe you were okay. Sarah's eyes were wet. I couldn't imagine that charming, brilliant Derek was capable of what he did. It seemed impossible. It wasn't impossible. It was calculated. Every detail, every lie, every betrayal. Rachel leaned forward. Derek didn't act alone. Vanessa Cole was his partner. But someone on this board helped him restructure the bylaws last year. Someone gave him the legal framework to steal my company. The room went silent. Who was it? Nobody spoke. I'll find out eventually, Rachel continued. The forensic accountants are already going through every document, every email, every signature. But I'm giving you the chance to come forward now, voluntarily, before I discover it myself. James Chen raised his hand like a schoolboy. It was Marcus Webb. He and Derek had a side agreement. Marcus was supposed to get $2 million from the Hartwell sale in exchange for helping with the bylaws. You knew about this. I suspected. James's voice was barely audible. Derek made some comments about having Marcus in his pocket. I thought he was joking. When did you stop thinking it was a joke? James didn't answer. Rachel stood up. Here's what's going to happen. By the end of today, Marcus Webb and Patricia Huang will resign from this board. They will forfeit any shares they hold in Morgan Design Group, and they will cooperate fully with the federal investigation into the embezzlement. And if they refuse? Robert asked. Then I share the recordings I haven't played yet, the ones where Derek discusses who helped him and how much they were promised. Rachel smiled, but there was no warmth in it. There are 45 days of recordings, Robert. Derek talked a lot. The board members looked at each other. What do you want from us? Linda Park asked. I want you to do your jobs. The jobs I appointed you to do years ago. Protect this company. Protect its employees. Help me rebuild what Derek tried to destroy. She walked to the door, then paused. The Hartwell deal is dead. Morgan Design Group is not for sale. We are not laying off 230 people so Derek Morgan can buy a yacht. She looked back at them. Is that clear? 5 heads nodded. Good. I'll expect the resignation letters from Marcus and Patricia by 5 p.m. Monica will send you the details. Rachel walked out. In the hallway, Tyler was waiting, his phone pressed to his ear. He hung up when he saw her. The forensic team found something, he said. At the Paradise Inn. What? Your motel. The one you stayed at for 3 weeks. Remember you said the security cameras were broken? They were pointed at nothing. Yeah, well, one of them wasn't. Tyler's face broke into a grin. There's a camera behind the front desk. Manager keeps it running to catch employees stealing from the register. It's got 42 days of footage, including footage of you checking in and staying there every single night during the time Vanessa claims you came to the office and threatened her. Rachel felt her knees go weak. That means... It means you have an airtight alibi. There's no way you could have been at the office threatening Vanessa when you were on camera at the motel 10 miles away. Vanessa's police report is going to be proven as a complete fabrication. The DA's office is adding filing a false police report and malicious prosecution to her charges. Tyler's grin widened. She's not getting out of this, Rachel. Neither of them are. Rachel leaned against the wall. For a moment she couldn't speak. 3 weeks of terror. 3 weeks of being called crazy, dangerous, unstable. 3 weeks of losing everything she'd built. And now, piece by piece, the truth was setting her free. "There's something else," Tyler said. His grin faded. "You should see this." He handed her his phone. On the screen was a booking photo. Vanessa Cole, mascara-streaked, hollow-eyed, her cream dress wrinkled and torn. She looked nothing like the polished predator who had spat in Rachel's face. Below the photo was an article. "They searched her apartment," Tyler explained. "Found the silicone pregnancy bump. Also found a notebook with detailed plans for how to destroy you. Dates, strategies, contingencies." She'd been planning this for over a year, Rachel. Since before Derek even started the affair. The affair wasn't random. Vanessa targeted Derek specifically because he was married to you. She researched you, studied you, found your weaknesses. Then she seduced your husband and convinced him to help her take everything. Rachel stared at the booking photo. This woman, this stranger, had spent a year planning to destroy her life. Not for money, not for love, not for anything rational, just because she could. "Why?" Rachel whispered. "The notebook doesn't say. The police are still questioning her." Rachel handed the phone back. She didn't want to look at Vanessa's face anymore. "What about Derek?" "Bail hearings tomorrow. His lawyers are asking for $2 million. DA's opposing release because of the offshore accounts. They're arguing he's a flight risk." Tyler shrugged. "Judge Williams already recommended he stay locked up. I don't think he's going anywhere." Rachel nodded slowly. "Good. That's good." She pushed off the wall and started walking toward the elevator, toward the lobby, toward the 230 employees waiting to hear what would happen to their jobs, their lives, their futures. "Rachel!" Tyler caught up to her. "What are you going to tell them?" She pressed the elevator button. The doors opened immediately. The truth. The ride down took 30 seconds. The longest 30 seconds of Rachel's life. When the doors opened onto the lobby, every head turned. Every conversation stopped. Rachel walked to the center of the room. 3 weeks ago, she said, her voice carrying across the marble floors, "My husband told me he was leaving me for another woman. He also told me he was taking my company, my home, and my reputation. He said I was unstable, dangerous, crazy." Nobody moved. Some of you believed him. I don't blame you. Derek was very convincing. He convinced me for 15 years. Rachel paused. "But I'm standing here today to tell you the truth. Derek Morgan embezzled $18 million from this company. He planned to sell Morgan Design Group to a vulture firm that would have fired every single one of you. And his girlfriend faked a pregnancy to frame me for assault." Gasps. Whispers. Someone in the back started crying. "I know you're scared," Rachel continued. "I know you're wondering what happens now. So let me be clear. Morgan Design Group is not for sale. No one is losing their job. And as of this moment, Derek Morgan and Vanessa Cole are no longer part of this company. They're in jail where they belong." Silence. Then, from somewhere in the crowd, someone started clapping. It spread slowly at first. One person, then 2, then 10, then 50. Within seconds, the entire lobby was applauding. People were crying, hugging each other, calling out Rachel's name. Rachel stood in the middle of it, letting the sound wash over her. She thought about the past 3 weeks. The motel with the broken lights. The kitchen floor at 2 a.m. The spit on her face. The wink. She had lost everything, and now she was getting it back. "One more thing," Rachel said, raising her hand. The applause died down. "Tyler Chen," she pointed to him standing by the elevator, "is being promoted to Chief Security Officer with a seat on the executive team. He risked his job, his freedom, and his future to help me expose the truth. This company owes him everything." Tyler's face turned bright red. His blue hair seemed to glow under the lobby lights. More applause. People clapping him on the back, shaking his hand, thanking him. Rachel caught his eye across the room and smiled. He smiled back. "Now," Rachel said, "let's get back to work. We've got a company to rebuild." The crowd began to disperse. People returned to their desks, their phones, their projects. But the energy in the building had changed. The fear was gone, replaced by something that felt almost like hope. Monica appeared at Rachel's elbow. That was quite a speech. It was the truth. Sometimes the truth is the best speech. Monica handed her a folder. The DA's office just sent over the full list of charges. Derek is looking at 15 to 20 years for the embezzlement alone. Vanessa is looking at 5 to 7 for perjury, filing false reports, and conspiracy. Neither of them is seeing the outside of a prison for a very long time. Rachel took the folder, but didn't open it. "What about the money, the 18 million in the Caymans?" "We're working with federal prosecutors and international banking authorities. It's going to take months, maybe years, but we'll recover most of it." Monica paused. "There's also the matter of your personal assets. The house, the investment accounts, everything." Derek froze. "Judge Williams has ordered all freezes lifted. You have access to everything again." Rachel thought about the house. The beautiful home she'd designed, filled with memories of a marriage that had been a lie. The bedroom where Derek had probably brought Vanessa while Rachel worked late. The kitchen where they'd planned her destruction over wine and takeout. "I don't want the house," Rachel said. "What? Sell it. Donate the money to charity. I don't care." Rachel shook her head. "I can't live there. Not after everything." Monica nodded slowly. "I understand. We'll put it on the market tomorrow. I want to find a new place. Something small. Something that's just mine." "We'll make it happen." Rachel looked around the lobby, at the building she'd designed, at the company she'd built, at the people who were counting on her. It wasn't over. There were still months of legal battles ahead. Criminal trials for Derek and Vanessa. Civil suits to recover the stolen money. Board restructuring, employee reassurance, client retention. The work was just beginning. But for the first time in 3 weeks, Rachel didn't feel like she was drowning. She felt like she was finally coming up for air. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. She opened it. The message was 3 words. "This isn't over." Rachel stared at the screen. The number wasn't Derek's. It wasn't Vanessa's. It wasn't anyone in her contacts. She thought about Vanessa's words in the courtroom. Derek has friends. Powerful friends. She thought about the Hartwell deal. About Marcus Webb still hiding somewhere instead of facing the consequences. About everyone who had profited from her destruction. Rachel deleted the message. Then she put her phone in her pocket, straightened her jacket, and walked toward the elevator. Whatever was coming next, she would be ready. She had survived her husband. She had survived his mistress. She had survived betrayal, humiliation, and 3 weeks of hell. She would survive whatever came next, too.
Joe.
6 months passed. Rachel stood at the window of her new apartment, a modest 2-bedroom on the 40th floor of a building she hadn't designed. Lake Michigan stretched out before her, gray and endless under the December sky. Snow was falling soft and quiet, blanketing Chicago in white. Her phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. She ignored it. The past 6 months had been an endless stream of calls, lawyers, reporters, board members, old friends, suddenly wanting to reconnect. She had learned to let most of them go to voicemail. But this call kept coming. 3 times in the past hour. Rachel finally picked up. "What is it, Monica?" "The verdict is in." Rachel's hand tightened on the phone. "Already." The jury deliberated for less than 4 hours. Derek's lawyers are stunned. Monica's voice was steady, professional, but Rachel could hear something underneath. Satisfaction. "Guilty on all counts: wire fraud, embezzlement, perjury, conspiracy to commit fraud, The judge is scheduling sentencing for next month, but the prosecutors are recommending 22 years. 22 years. Rachel walked to her couch and sat down slowly. 22 years ago, she had been a young architect, with a dream and a folding table in her mother's basement. Now her ex-husband was going to prison for just as long. Rachel. Are you there? I'm here. There's more. Vanessa Cole's trial concluded last week. I didn't want to tell you until we had the full picture. Monica paused. She got 8 years. The judge called her actions deliberately cruel and calculating. She's being transferred to federal prison next week. 8 years. Vanessa would be in her mid-30s when she got out. Still young, still dangerous. What about Marcus Webb? Rachel asked. Pled guilty to conspiracy charges 2 months ago. He's cooperating with prosecutors in exchange for a reduced sentence. 3 years minimum security. Monica's tone sharpened. He gave up everything. Names, dates, account numbers. Turns out Derek had been planning this for almost 4 years. Marcus was involved from the beginning. 4 years. Derek had spent 4 years pretending to be her loving husband while secretly plotting to destroy her. The Cayman money. 14 million recovered so far. The rest is tied up in legal proceedings, but the forensic accountants are confident we'll get most of it back within the year. Monica hesitated. There's one more thing. Derek asked to see you. Rachel's stomach dropped. What? His lawyers submitted a request through the court. He wants a face-to-face meeting before sentencing. Says he has something important to tell you. No. I told them you'd say that, but I wanted you to know. He can rot. Rachel's voice was flat. I have nothing to say to him, and I don't want to hear whatever lies he's prepared. Understood. I'll inform his counsel. Rachel hung up. She sat in the silence of her apartment watching the snow fall. 6 months ago, she had been sleeping in a $47 motel room eating vending machine crackers, wondering if she would ever feel normal again. Now she had her company back, her reputation back, her life back. But something was still missing. The apartment was nice. Clean, modern, exactly the kind of space she would have designed for herself. But it didn't feel like home. It felt like a waiting room, a place to exist between what she had lost and whatever came next. Her phone buzzed again. This time a text from Tyler. You watching the news? Rachel turned on the TV. Derek's face filled the screen, a mugshot taken the day of his arrest. He looked tired, older, nothing like the charming man she had married. Guilty on all 12 counts, the anchor was saying. Morgan, who was once CFO of the prestigious Morgan Design Group, now faces up to 25 years in federal prison. His co-conspirator, Vanessa Cole, was sentenced last week to 8 years. The case has captivated Chicago, with many calling it a modern cautionary tale about trust betrayal and the price of greed. The screen cut to footage of Rachel leaving the courthouse months ago, Monica at her side. She looked thin in the video, fragile, but her chin was up, her eyes forward. Rachel Morgan, founder of Morgan Design Group, has declined to comment publicly on the verdict. Sources close to her say she is focused on rebuilding her company and moving forward with her life. Rachel turned off the TV. Moving forward. Everyone kept telling her to move forward, as if you could just step over 15 years of your life like a crack in the sidewalk. She thought about Derek, about the man she had fallen in love with at that networking event, the one with the cheap suit and the charming smile. Had that man ever been real, or had he always been a mask, a character designed to make her trust him? She would probably never know. Her phone buzzed again. Another text from Tyler. Company meeting in an hour. Don't forget. Rachel looked at the time. 3 p.m. She had an all-hands meeting scheduled at 4 to announce the new company structure, the final step in rebuilding what Derek had tried to destroy. She showered, dressed, and took a cab to the Morgan Design Group building. The snow was falling harder now, turning the streets into a white maze. Christmas lights twinkled in windows. Somewhere a Salvation Army bell was ringing. She had always loved Chicago at Christmas. Even now, even after everything, there was something magical about it. The lobby was transformed when she arrived. Someone had put up a massive Christmas tree decorated with ornaments shaped like buildings and blueprints. A banner hung across the reception desk, "Welcome to the new MDG." 230 employees were gathered in the main atrium, spilling out of the cafeteria and into the hallways. When Rachel walked in, they parted for her like water. Tyler was waiting at the front, standing next to a small stage someone had assembled. He was wearing a suit, the first time Rachel had ever seen him in anything other than jeans and band t-shirts. His blue hair was combed back neatly. "You clean up nice," Rachel said. "Monica made me." He grinned. "Ready?" "No, let's do it anyway." Rachel climbed onto the stage. The crowd fell silent. "6 months ago," she began, "I stood in this lobby and told you that Morgan Design Group was not for sale, that no one was losing their job, that we would rebuild together." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Today, I'm here to tell you that we kept that promise. Every single one of you is still here. We didn't sell to Hartwell. We didn't gut our benefits or slash our salaries. We survived. Applause. Scattered cheers. Rachel held up her hand. But surviving isn't enough. I didn't build this company just to survive. I built it to thrive, to create something meaningful, to design buildings that make people's lives better. She paused, looking out at the faces before her. People she had hired, mentored, fought for. People who had stuck with her through the worst months of her life. Starting today, Morgan Design Group is changing its name. The crowd went silent. For 22 years, this company has carried my name, my vision, my identity. But that was wrong. This company was never just about me. It was about all of you. Every late night, every impossible deadline, every brilliant idea that came from someone in this room. Rachel took a breath. Our new name is Cornerstone Architecture, because every building starts with a cornerstone, and every company is built on the people who show up every day and do the work. She looked at Tyler. Tyler Chen, our Chief Security Officer, will be joining the executive team as Chief Operating Officer. He believed in me when no one else did. He risked everything to help me find the truth. This company wouldn't exist without him. Tyler's face turned red. Someone in the crowd whooped. Additionally, Rachel continued, I'm establishing the Morgan Design Foundation. 10% of our annual profits will go towards scholarships for students from underprivileged backgrounds who want to study architecture and design, because I remember what it felt like to have a dream and no money to pursue it. More applause, louder this time. Finally, I want to say something personal. Rachel's voice softened. 6 months ago, I lost everything. My husband, my company, my reputation, my sense of self. There were moments when I thought about giving up, signing the papers, walking away, letting them win. The room was absolutely silent. I didn't give up. Not because I'm strong or brave or special, but because people in this room believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. Tyler, Monica, and many of you who sent messages and cards and words of support even when you weren't sure I would ever see them. Rachel felt tears prickling at her eyes. She blinked them back. So thank you for your loyalty, for your patience, for your faith. We have a lot of work ahead of us. New projects, new clients, new challenges. But I know that there is no team I would rather face those challenges with than this one. She stepped back from the microphone. The applause started slowly, then built into a wave. People were standing, cheering. Some were crying. Rachel stood on the stage, letting it wash over her. 6 months ago, she had collapsed in a courthouse hallway, while her husband's mistress winked at her unconscious body. Now, she was standing in her own building, surrounded by people who believed in her, announcing a future she had built with her own hands. It wasn't revenge. It was resurrection. The party lasted for hours. Someone had ordered catering trays of appetizers, a chocolate fountain champagne for those who wanted it. Music played from speakers mounted near the Christmas tree. People danced, laughed, celebrated. Rachel made her way in through the crowd, shaking hands, accepting congratulations, listening to stories from employees she hadn't spoken with in months. Jessica Park, the young designer who had apologized in the lobby 6 months ago, found her near the fountain. "Mrs. Morgan, I mean Rachel, I just wanted to say thank you for not giving up on us, for fighting for the company." Jessica was crying again. "My mom has cancer. I couldn't afford to lose my health insurance. If the Hartwell deal had gone through, I don't know what I would have done." Rachel pulled her into a hug. "You're not going to lose anything. Not while I'm here." Near the end of the evening, Tyler found Rachel standing by the window, looking out at the Chicago skyline. "Hell of a day," he said. "Hell of a year. How do you feel?" Rachel considered the question. Empty, full, terrified, hopeful, all at once. That sounds about right. They stood in silence for a moment, watching the snow fall over the city. "I got another message," Rachel said quietly. Same unknown number. Same 3 words. Tyler tensed. "This isn't over." "Yeah." "Have you traced it?" "The FBI is looking into it. They think it might be connected to Vanessa. She had a lot of online followers before the arrest. Some of them are devoted." "That's creepy." "It is." Rachel turned to face him. "But I'm not scared anymore. I survived Derek. I survived Vanessa. I survived 3 weeks of hell and 6 months of rebuilding. Whoever is sending those messages, they're going to learn the same lesson everyone else has learned." "Which is," Rachel smiled. It was a real smile, the first one that had felt genuine in months. "Don't underestimate me." 3 weeks later, on Christmas Eve, Rachel sat alone in her apartment. The tree she had bought, a small fake one from Target, glowed with white lights in the corner. A glass of wine sat untouched on the coffee table. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. "Hello." Silence on the other end. Then a voice she recognized. "Rachel." "Derek." Her hand tightened on the phone. "How did you get this number?" "I have friends." His voice was different. Tired. Hollow. Not the confident, charming Derek she had known. "I need to talk to you." "You asked for a meeting. I said no." "I know. But please, just 5 minutes. There are things you need to know." "I don't need to know anything from you." "It wasn't just me." Derek's voice cracked. "Vanessa, she's not who you think she is. She had a plan before she even met me. I was a tool, Rachel, just like you. She used both of us. You embezzled $18 million. You tried to frame me for assault. You destroyed my life." "I know, and I'll spend the rest of my life paying for it. But Vanessa, there's more. People she worked with. People who are still out there. The messages you've been getting." Rachel's blood went cold. "How do you know about the messages?" "Because I got them too. Before the trial. Threats. Warnings. Vanessa had partners, Rachel. This wasn't just a scam. It was a network. And they're still operating." "You're lying. You're trying to manipulate me again." "I'm trying to protect you." Derek's voice rose, then broke. He started crying. "I know you hate me. You should hate me. I was weak and greedy and stupid. But I never wanted you dead, Rachel. And that's what they're planning. That's what the messages mean." Rachel's heart was pounding. "Who is they? I don't know all of it. Vanessa never told me everything. But there's a name, Prometheus. It's some kind of organization. They target wealthy people. Seduce them, destroy them, take everything. Vanessa was their best operator. And when you exposed her, you made enemies." "This sounds like a paranoid fantasy." "There's a file. On Vanessa's laptop. The FBI has it, but they haven't connected the dots yet. Ask them about Prometheus. Ask them about the pattern." Derek's voice was desperate now. "Please, Rachel. I know I don't deserve your trust, but I don't want you to die because of my mistakes." The line went dead. Rachel sat motionless, the phone still pressed to her ear. Outside, snow was falling over Chicago. Christmas lights twinkled in windows across the city. She thought about the messages. "This isn't over," She thought about Vanessa's notebook, filled with detailed plans to destroy her. She thought about the cold, calculating look in Vanessa's eyes at the courthouse. Maybe Derek was lying, trying to manipulate her one last time, create doubt where there should be certainty. Or maybe he was telling the truth, and something much bigger, much darker, was still out there waiting. Rachel set down her phone. She walked to her window and looked out at the city she loved, the city where she had built her career, her company, her life. The city where she had been broken and rebuilt. Prometheus. A network. Operators like Vanessa. If it was true, then this story wasn't over. It was just beginning. But Rachel wasn't the same woman who had collapsed in a courthouse hallway 6 months ago. She wasn't the naive wife who had trusted her husband with everything. She wasn't the victim anymore. She was the architect. And architects don't just build, they design. They plan. They create structures that can withstand any storm. Whatever was coming, threats, enemies, shadows in the dark, she would be ready. Rachel picked up her phone and dialed Monica. "It's late," Monica answered. "Everything okay? I need you to contact the FBI tomorrow. Ask them about something called Prometheus, and ask them to take another look at Vanessa Cole's files." Why, what happened? Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. Rachel looked out at the snow falling over Chicago. "But I'm done waiting for the next attack. If there's something out there, I want to find it before it finds me." That could be dangerous. So was everything else I've survived. Rachel's voice was steel. I didn't come this far to be anyone's victim again. She hung up. The apartment was quiet. The Christmas tree glowed softly. Outside, the snow kept falling, covering the city, in white, burying the old year under a fresh layer of silence. Rachel thought about everything she had lost. Her husband, her innocence, her faith in the people she loved. She thought about everything she had gained, her company, her strength, her sense of self. And she thought about the future. Unknown, uncertain, potentially dangerous. She wasn't afraid. She had walked through fire and emerged stronger. She had been betrayed by the person closest to her and rebuilt from the ashes. She had faced her enemies in open court and watched them dragged away in handcuffs. Whatever came next, she would face it the same way, with her head up, her eyes forward, her foundation solid. Rachel Morgan, architect survivor fighter, raised her glass of wine in a silent toast to the empty apartment. "Merry Christmas," she whispered to no one. "And good luck to anyone who comes for me next." She drank. Outside Chicago sparkled under the snow. A new year was coming. A new chapter was beginning. And Rachel was ready to write it herself. Because that's what architects do. They don't just survive the storm. They design something stronger to stand in its place.